Hello.
Hi,
Kayla Lords
John Brownstone.
of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. We're back after a unplanned break because you were a little under the weather.
Just a little.
And try not to ask JB to do too much when he can barely have the strength to get off the couch or out of his bathrobe. We're back, though. We're answering another question from somebody who submitted it to us. This time we're going to talk about long-distance DS relationships. Okay, let's get into the question.
Okay.
Short but sweet, but there's a lot here. How can I make the most out of my long-distance DS relationship? We're both married and live almost 2 hours apart. We try to get together once a month, but how can we keep the time apart just as exciting? My Dom is amazing, and I do not want to lose him. So before we get into our actual tips, I'm going to let you know that we have talked about long-distance relationships multiple times over the years because we, in fact, were... what am I trying to say? We were originally in a long distance relationship.
Correct.
Did that for 18 months before we moved in together. So we feel like we have a little experience with this. Just a little bit. So we've talked about it in past podcast episodes. I'll link to those. We also, shameless plug, we have a workbook for people in long distance DS relationships. It doesn't teach you how to have a long distance relationship. What it does is it helps you think through the different ways you're going to make your DS work when you're not together, and then how you can maximize the time when you are together. So that's on our Etsy shop. That will be linked below as well. If you happen to be watching this or listening or whatever, in January 2024, that workbook is on sale through the end of the month. So just letting you know that. Okay, so shameless self-promotion over.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Time management.
Oh, yeah. It's hard enough when you're single, but if you are married to somebody else
Right.
and trying to have this, time management.
It's not unheard of to have relationships like this. Both partners married and yet they have a relationship. And the best thing you're going to find to do is time management.
Yeah.
Crunch the time. Make sure you communicate that you work out specific times that you can, meet, talk, whatever. But
I think the planning aspect is probably the most important. And if you are not a natural planner, this will be a new skill to learn. Or if one of you isn't much of a planner and one of you definitely is, that could create a little friction. But when you know that you can only actually physically be together maybe once a month, you sort of have to make do with the time that you have apart, but then you're also juggling, you have other responsibilities. If you're married, maybe you have kids, maybe you just have a busy life that you have to navigate, and this has to fit into that. So there's going to need to be a lot of honest conversations about how much time you can genuinely devote to one another, and what methods you're going to use to spend that time together. For us, we both were adults essentially living on our own or independent. So we could do things like phone sex. That was easy to do. If you are living in a household with other people, that may be more difficult. So maybe it's a lot of text. Maybe it's, I can't believe I'm going to say email is old fashioned, but it does feel that way. Maybe it is. Maybe it's connecting through online things like Discord or WhatsApp or whatever.
Or even Zoom, whether you do Zoom or Skype or something like that. Yes.
The other thing that I have a feeling would be most important, it's for any long distance relationship, but especially when you've got other commitments outside of that, is finding and taking advantage of small bits of time. I tend to be the type of person who gets very frustrated that if I can't have all the time, literal hours, days, whatever, I don't think that anything outside of that is worth it, worth the effort, worth the energy. That's not true. And I also worry that 5 minutes isn't enough. I won't be fulfilling. I won't be happy. But actually, all those little 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there add up. When we were long distance, we each worked in an office, and we didn't work an 8 to 5 literally, but we had that kind of vibe. And our schedules didn't quite line up. We had some control over our schedules and not others, but we knew in the flow of our day because of our professional life, when we could snatch 5 minutes for ourselves to send a text, to, send an email, respond to something. With being Power Exchange, JB really liked to send me like little orders and commands. They involved a lot of masturbation in the ladies' room. And then that's the exciting part is, okay, you're, from a submissive perspective, you're getting told to go do something that you find sexy and like whatever, and you're getting that submission, but also you have to like run the gauntlet of, when can I get into the ladies' room and nobody else will be there? Or can I be quiet enough for nobody else to know what's going on? Because that would not have been okay. But that was you would send me that text when you got the time, and then you understood that I would do whatever I was asked or respond to that text when I got the time. So there's also that need for the understanding that your 5 minutes of availability might not match up to your partner's, and some things are going to be asynchronous. So in terms of commands, orders, tasks, rules, there has to be an understanding between you that your partner may ask for something at 9 o'clock, and because of the nature of your life, you might not deliver that until 5 o'clock.
Right. You can't expect, long distance like that. It's hard to expect, an instant response to those kind of requests, and you have to be flexible in that part, because whether it's job, whether it's family, at that point, because of the relationship, that's something that you're going to have to keep in mind.
So once you figure out how you're going to communicate and where you can snatch your 5 minutes here or there, the other thing would be to schedule larger blocks of time for communication. It might not be as often as you want or as much time as you want, but you sort of need to like find where your schedules overlap enough for any amount of time and pencil those in and make those commitments like you're scheduling, an appointment almost, and to the best of your ability, keep those times for one another. Because once you have those times where you're going to interact, you're going to talk, that leaves room to get kinky and be fun with it. Lots of sexting, and it depends on how your Power Exchange manifests. If there's an erotic element to it, then sexting and flirting and just talking to one another. For us, it was a lot of text in sort of dom sub mindset was good. I mean, that was very helpful. I'm a service sub, and JB wants me to do shit for him. So even long distance, he would come up with things that I could do for him. Some of them were for my own benefit. Some of them were sexy kinky, and some of them were, hey, you gave me this power and I'm going to use it. And so it's going to sound like a really random thing, but go do the thing. And that was a great way to live in our role a little bit, even in the middle of like a very busy, hectic day. Like we could be like the example of, I got the text of go, edge yourself in the ladies' bathroom when you get an opportunity, right? I didn't know what day that was coming. I didn't know when that was coming, but he would send it. And when I got the opportunity, I could. And so we weren't doing things at the exact same time, right? But he had that moment of getting to tell me to do something, and I had that moment of getting to go do the thing that my dom wanted me to do. Right. And it doesn't have to be semi-public masturbation. I mean, not every work environment is going to allow for that anyway, and not everybody wants to do that. But whatever it might be, that can allow you both to do something within your Power Exchange role that can help you stay connected. That can make it sort of fun. I mean, long distance relationships of any flavor are difficult. You don't get to spend as much time with a partner necessarily as you want to. You don't get to see them as often as you might want to. You have other commitments that sort of infiltrate and will have to take up bandwidth. That you have those commitments when you're living together as well, or when you're physically closer to each other. But it's just harder when there's distance between you. But when you can create touch points for one another,
Mm-hmm.
that can keep the fun and the spark and the excitement of it
Yeah.
alive. And that's the thing you want to find, are what are the ways in small doses that work for our lives, our real lives, not the idealized version, you know, we have in our head, that allow the distance to feel less difficult. I don't think it ever becomes, you know, easy at all, unless you actively just want a long distance relationship and that's your vibe. But you have to, you know, find ways where you can feel connected, even if that connection is not the, you know, there's a word I want. The ideal scenario, the ideal situation. Like, yes, ideally you want your partner there every moment of every day, and, you know, they can be your dom and you can be their sub or whatever.
Yeah.
But what you actually get in real time is 20 minutes in the morning, an hour in the evening, random text messages through the day. So make those count.
Sure. And I think one of the other things too, especially in this relationship, understanding on both sides. They need to be understanding, because let's be honest, you know, there's two separate relationships outside of their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And shit happens, life happens, as we both well know.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So, you know, be understanding of the unexpected.
Yes. If you happen to be a person who's very sort of rigid in your thinking, very, you plan everything out and you don't tolerate changes and disruptions to your plans. Well, I'm one of those. There is an adjustment to be that you have to kind of go through, where you don't have to like it. And you may never even get comfortable with it, but it has to just become part of the understanding that shit's going to get fucked up, and the plans that you had for the, you know, scene you were going to do over Zoom or whatever, or over the phone, like FaceTime, whatever, that's not happening tonight. You know, that something came up. The other part of that is you have to keep the lines of communication open, because in a long distance relationship, it is very easy to think that silence from your partner, unexpected, unexplained silence, is either they've ghosted you or they're dead on the side of the road, right? Like, there's, and maybe that's just my anxious brain, but I think a lot of people would relate to that. So if something goes wrong with your plan, don't ever leave a partner hanging. Tell them as soon as you are physically capable, even if it's a 5-word text that says, you know, something went wrong, talk later, like whatever. Just keep each other in the loop on those things.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to have a little moment here for the very last part that was not a question, but I'm gonna do some, not tough love like mean, but I just want to lean into it. They said, my dom is amazing and I do not want to lose him. What I hope for you is that your dom would say, my sub is amazing and I do not want to lose them.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep somebody who doesn't want to be there, and long distance relationships require effort and hard work and some amount of sacrifice, and they're just tougher. And so you not wanting to lose your partner is admirable, and I think anybody who's, you know, really cares for their partner, that's exactly what they think. But what I want for you is for them to feel the same way, because if each of you have that view and things are relatively healthy and lines of communication are open, if you're both working hard on the relationship, you have a much better chance of it succeeding. But if you are the only one working hard on it, you're going to be miserable, you know, one way or the other. Either you're going to be miserable in the relationship because you're putting in all the effort and they are not, or you're going to be miserable because it ends and you're heartbroken. So I get it. I would say the same thing about JB. My dom is amazing and I do not want to lose him. But I also understand that he would say the same thing about me. You know what I mean? And you don't have to do all of the work.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No. Just like in any type of relationship, it takes two.
Right. And your dom should be putting in just as much effort as you are. That effort might look different, right? But the expectation that each of you is working towards something positive in this relationship, you need to keep that expectation and
Yeah.
then sort of measure what you're receiving against that expectation, right? Like if you're the one putting in all the effort and you're the one scheduling all the times and you're the one following up and you're the one constantly reaching out and they're not making a lot of effort, it's time for a conversation. Like, why aren't they? Is it because y'all are trying to do too much and your schedules don't align and life is just not allowing for that? You know, that happens, but I just want to like put that in there because it is not uncommon in any relationship, long distance or otherwise, that's not really like the best match for one person to put in all of the effort.
Absolutely.
And the other one to just sort of coast along because they can depend on their partner to put in all of the effort. What your efforts individually look like might be different. Like you have your own set of skills and strengths and they have their own, but there should be equitable effort.
Correct. Absolutely.
So I just wanted to give you that little not quite tough love lecture there. Yeah. I think that's it.
Okay.
Just one last plug. If you are in an LDR and you're like, what do I do? We'll have links below to where we've talked about it. I say below, in the places, to where we've talked about it, plus our long distance DS workbook. I'm just saying, it's available on Etsy, digital download.
Comes in handy.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for this one. If you have been in your own LDR, had your own experiences, there's anything you would add to what we have said, feel free to share those thoughts and experiences and all that good stuff in the comments so we can all learn from each other. If you enjoyed this, we love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And ring the notification bell to get updates and new content.
Just do what Daddy says. And if you really like what we do, want to help us keep doing more of it, you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/KLords. Link below. If you are watching this prior to mid-February 2024, we're in a membership drive. You get extra goodies, you get extra stuff. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, we'd love it if you could join us. Okay. Bye.
Bye.